Audio. Sorry.
Okay, now we're live.
Now we're live.
You can probably hear us.
Welcome to the Big Noun.
Today we're going to be painting my old babysitter, Trina Ortegon. And she's also known in the boxing world as Trina Iron Butterfly Ortegon. Ladies and gentlemen. No.
If you're going to paint along with us, you can email us at woodburyhillstudio@gmail.com, or you could go to the main page at Twitch, and we have it embedded.
The pictures that we're going to be painting for, the reference, so that you can paint along with us. If you want to
paint along with us. If not, you can just listen, and we're going to embed the interview in a minute.
Yeah, and then we'll start to paint. I'm going to be painting the one that's over here, and then Brittany's going to be doing the one that's over there. So that's how it's going to be worked. Respectively, underneath us is the ones we're going to be painting each.
Yes. And we won't be talking in between. We're just going to, once the interview goes, we're going to just go through.
We may interrupt if we have anything to say, or if you have any questions.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. And if you have any questions, just I'll keep an eye out in the comments or in the email.
Or in the chat. We don't check a lot, but if we don't get right to what you're saying, then we'll get to it soon. But anyways, we're going to start painting. So we will see you in a second.
Good. Is this too bright? You want me to close that window blind?
It's actually really pretty. It's nice lighting.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. I went outside, but there was a thunderstorm. I was like, oh, fuck.
Oh, wow. How interesting.
Well, it's monsoon season, so we get lightning and thunderstorms. And
is it all humid?
Yeah, for us it's humid. I mean.
Yeah. No, here it's just, they said that we're on like today's going to be the warmest day until it's like the slow decline till winter time.
Warmest day. So what's the warmest day?
Well, no, it's not the warmest day, but it's the warmest it's going to be until, you know what I mean, for now on.
Our warmest?
Starting to go downhill from here, but the warmest is what?
84, 87. I know. It's like crazy up here.
Yeah, but you guys have winters. So do we, though, here.
They're not gnarly.
They're not bad here. Everyone, we thought that it was going to be this big cold place because everyone had this type of it being freezing up here. It's really like, even when it's coldest, it's like 50, which is still not that cold.
Oh, no, hell no.
Yeah.
You know what it is here? It's like 8 degrees in the winter.
Oh, yeah, we don't get any of that. We get we've had 3 snow days.
17 degrees once.
But that was like a freak, and that was like, that. I guess they said that was like a record. That was something that was out of the blue.
Oh, no, 17 is every morning when I wake up in the winter here.
Oh, wow.
Minimum. Yeah. It's stupid. 6,000 or 5,000 plus feet, but it's desert, so.
That's dope, though. It looked really pretty. We were looking at pictures today. Those ones you sent.
I was trying to take them. I'm driving. I'm like, trying not to crash.
They were dope. They're like art style.
See, you'll love them. You love it. That's those clouds are from the storms that are coming in. So I was laying in the hot springs up there, and then you have to be careful because then the lightning comes in and you got to kick out of the pool because otherwise you'll fry.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So it's like there's people there.
Yeah. So they're all natural. This one is man-made, built around it now, like it's kind of prettified or whatever. It's prettied, but they're all natural. They're 100% natural hot springs. I'll send you the link. It's and then there's ones that you can hike up into, and there's several of them that you can just hike up to in the wilderness. The most famous one up there has 3 pools. They 3-tier. They just literally tier down, and then they get the hottest as they are. And they fit maybe 5-6 people in them, and most of the people up there are hippies and grow shrooms and everything else. So most of the people are naked in the pools, and you walk up on them, you're like, ah!
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You remember Travis Waters?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I lived in Bishop with him, and right as you enter Bishop, California, there's a smaller town called Keogh. It's like Keogh, and it's like it's like Snohomish, or it's like Shoshone Indian or something like that.
Shoshone,
maybe. Yeah. Anyways, there's it's a hot springs there too, and I didn't even know about it. Me and Travis told me about a garnet mine, and we were driving in his little car out in the middle of the desert, up there in these roads, And I just happened to look over, and there was a naked chick on a rock. And I was like, oh, my God. There's naked people out in the desert. He's like, what? He goes, oh, yeah, that's the hot springs. There's a bunch of people. He goes, they got a high dive that goes right into a pool, a hot spring pool up here in Keogh. It's the whole town is based around their hot springs.
Oh, I had no idea. There's so many hot springs that you don't even know about unless you're just one of those people that does it all the time, I guess.
Yeah, well, there's this place where I go dirt bike riding in the middle. It's like Salton Sea in California. And
oh yeah, I know.
out in the middle of dirt bike riding, there's a hot springs, and then also this like almost like a hot mud bath out in the middle. So we'll be dirt bike riding. We stop and we go jump in the hot springs real quick on a break, and then continue dirt bike riding.
All right, all right. You know what's crazy? I never went to the Salton Sea. I always wanted to go, and I never went.
Oh, it's a weird place because on top of all of like how it's like just a bone bed of fish.
Yeah.
It right when you walk out or go outside of it, a few miles is beautiful open terrain, and it's like almost hidden from the road because it drops down, and so it looks like this barren area. But then all of a sudden, it's just beautiful open valley.
And crazy too. They got a town out there called Nyland where they had this place called the Slabs, and they filmed like some parts of the movie. The guy Leonard who had the spiritual mountain. Where
I think I saw, and they have a community, like they have their own little private community there. But yeah, they have like they have a band and a stage and a library. I saw a documentary on it.
Oh yeah, we've
crazy.
been there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, they have one of the trailers is like a converted library or something.
Yep.
Like, yeah.
That's totally cool. All right, real quick though, because we failed to do this last time, is to tell anybody who doesn't know who you are.
We just jumped in a conversation and never did any of it. Forgot to.
Oh, you know what? I watched your thing with him, and I was like, oh yeah, okay. Now it took me a minute, and then I was like, oh, I know who it is now. I was like, all right.
Okay, so people that don't know my relation to you, this was one of my best friends in the whole world, the Rob. His big sister Trina, who would watch us, was so basically my babysitter when I was very young.
I was your babysitter.
Yep, but it was during a really cool time that a lot of people only hear about, where our parents were like they were single chicks, they were in the disco era, and they would bounce and leave all us kids. And you that's where you came into my life like a lot. And you would just had to keep track of me.
Yep.
Right, so this is Trina Ortegon. She's also, like, aside from being my babysitter, she's two-time belt holder.
I was wondering.
Yeah. She's done it all. She does rescuing for animals, right?
Yeah.
The charity. You've been all influenced rock and roll in some ways that probably, you're like kind of me in the art world. Because it was on another podcast that we listened to where you kind of were the catalyst for something coming together that led to big things, but I'll let people listen to that podcast. It's not, just so they don't recover things because you have a lot more.
Okay. You'll have to surprise me because I forget.
No,
I've been punched in the head too much. That's it. I can use that at any time. I'm like, maybe, I don't know.
You're also PTSD.
I watched. She was watching one of your fights. Like, she watched all 10 rounds of one of your fights the other night. Do you remember?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, with Kendra.
With Kendra. Yeah, they finally put it up. My friend, he converted all of them. Joe Schaefer, the photographer? Big Joe from No Sugar.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
No Sugar.
Okay. Yeah. So anyway, he converted all of my videos. They were on VHS from ESPN2, and he converted them, and then he uploaded them, and then ESPN took them down, but somebody put them back up. I saw that. So
yeah, they're so great. I loved it. I loved it. I woke him up. I was like, I love it. She's so like, don't say good aggressive, like fun aggressive. Like you were. I loved watching it. I was all into it.
You had the laptop in bed. You watching the whole fight. I kept looking up.
Oh yeah. Wow. So, okay, let me tell you the most embarrassing and best story of that whole thing that you can't see.
Okay.
And I barely told my coach maybe 2 or 3 years ago, maybe 2016, 2017, somewhere, I don't know, maybe anyway, about 3 years ago, because I had forgotten about it. But think about this. When you're painting and you're working, right, and all of a sudden you got to go to the bathroom. You got to pee.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You got to pee. Yeah. What are you going to do? I'm in the rounds. You can't take your time out. Yeah, there's no timeout. There's no like break. And I'm like, God, we're on live on national television.
Yeah.
And because you're drinking water in between rounds, and so I'm like, oh God. So I went back to the corner because I was thinking about it, and I was like, went back to the corner, and I was like, well, if I get hit in the stomach one more time real hard, like it's just gonna happen. But I'm sweaty, and I look down, and I'm covered in sweat. Literally, beads of sweat are dropping off of my calves and my shins, just pouring. That's pure sweat, and I was like, oh, forget about it. I just peed right there on the stool. Yeah. And I was like, all right. I was like, fuck it, it's got to go. Yeah. I didn't tell my coach during the fight, nothing. And I was just like, kind of little, I was like, well, I'm already wet, so it's better. Yeah, no one's going to know. Who knows the damn difference. So here it is. That was 2002, and like 14, 15 years later, I tell my coach, by the way, I peed on the stool. And she's like, what?
Well, did she have like an answer, like what you were supposed to actually do and something like that? Like is
no, but you literally have 1 minute from the time the bell rings from 1 minute to 1 minute. The bell rings again. Literally 60 seconds timer starts. You have that time to get back to the stool, get your mouth rinsed out, get your instructions, get your water and all that stuff. So my mind had slowed down. I was completely 100% like in that surreal world, and I was processing all these thoughts like get hit in the stomach, go on national television, and then I was like, oh, forget it. So yeah, she wouldn't have had to answer because I didn't even ask her. I was like,
there was not even enough time to really process a whole way of even handling that.
At the same time, I'm trying to drink water, spit my spit out, get my instructions to get back in the.
And then you're still trying to probably process what's going on from the round before and how to approach the next round. So there's like, there's a million other things you need to be worrying about other than using the restroom.
Why don't they just sit on a bucket?
Right? Well, we have a bucket, but you pee in it. I mean, you spit in it. So yeah, why not pee in it? I don't know. I'm sure I'm not the first. I'm not the last.
No. But it reminds me of like my dad. My dad, when I would ask him like, "What do you do?" Because he snorkeled and scuba dived all the time, and I'd be like, "But everybody knows what they do." Like he's like, "Well, you wear a suit up," and I was like, "Yeah, but what about number 2?" And he's like, "You feed the fish." And I was like, "Oh."
Yeah. I don't want warming the suit if I'm feeding the fish.
Yeah, that's not good. I call it chumming also,
Chumming the water.
Oh, yeah, chumming.
Okay, but earlier on, like, so when you kind of kept your eye on me, like me and your brother were running amok, and it was always
trouble.
You were always doing cool stuff. Like I always was like, man, and it's fun now because. Like, I look back on that, and I used to watch, like, from the outside, all the cool shit you were doing. Like, like, the Unforgiven, like, the bands. And, like, I remember the green, like, I was looking up stuff on Google last night. And it's funny because you mentioned No Sugar. And I Googled No Sugar last night, and I was looking for, like, they had the single, I think. It was, like, on red vinyl or whatever.
Yeah.
No Sugar.
No, it's on white vinyl, like, for cocaine. And it has a cocaine, the
lines or whatever.
The mirror, I think it has the razor, and then it has it made to look like cocaine on there, and it says No Sugar. Yeah.
Right. So I was looking for.
It's a white vinyl 45. I think I still have a few of them.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and so I'm sitting there looking for all these images, and there's, I think there's an Asian band or something now called No Sugar. And
really?
Like, I was going through pages and pages, and it's just all them. Like, they're huge, like, from 2017 or 18, so it's just flooded with everything to do with this band. I couldn't, I mean, I think I found, like, one old flyer or something somewhere that someone posted.
Oh, I think I still have some flyers, too, somewhere. And I know Joe Schaefer has a lot of that stuff, too. And if you haven't talked to JoJo, he's still on Facebook.
Right.
Hit him up. He'll share anything you want.
But no, like, what was because I was trying to tell Brittany a bunch of stuff, like the Unforgiven, like, that was some fun times. I mean, and then I was telling Brittany about one of the really cool things, which was the rock and roll softball.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the rock and roll softball was, so we would do every Sunday, somebody would play Saturday night, right? some band would play. It would be at the Green Door. It would be wherever. It would have been those. There were a bunch of clubs up in the Chino Hills, and then God, I can't. La Villa Guasti, La Vida Hot Springs. Anyway, so everybody would be hungover, and on Sunday we would all go to Altaloma High School in the baseball fields and play drunk softball. and people like the infamous Carlton would go out there with his lounge chair and sit out like in the outfield and just with his beer in the lounge chair. He wouldn't really play ball, but we all did. We all did play ball, and then we brought guys out from LA, whoever. I actually brought Ricky Rackman and Keith and
I think Fernie came out.
Yeah, Fernie came. Yeah, Fernie came
from Jet
and
Boy.
they all came from Jet Boy. And we all then after you'd cool off and you jump over the fence in the pool, and we'd go for a swim in the high school pool. So you didn't get caught. And then jump back out and play ball. Then we'd go somebody would have a barbecue at their house.
Yeah.
So then we would all barbecue. So it was every Sunday with rock and roll softball.
How cool! Like,
yeah.
You were saying something about once when you were.
It had a big tie-in with Richard Pryor, because I think somebody, either you or somebody, was dating somebody who trained animals for a movie, something.
He's my friend. Yes.
Yes.
He was a very good friend of mine.
He came with you.
Yeah, he came with me. That's Dave Upton. He's a motion picture monkeys. He was a monkey trainer, and I brought the baboon with us.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
He ran up my arm, and he was holding on to my head, and you had a picture or something. It looked like he was fucking in the ear, and that was a Richard Pryor bit.
It was?
Yes, you could look up. You didn't know that.
And I think wasn't the timing or it was a little bit after.
1979 was the album that Richard Pryor did the bit in, and I used to sneak into my Foster Brothers' bedroom and listen to all the Richard Pryor and Steve Martin. The live shows. And that was a bit. He talked about how he had a pet monkey when he was rich, and how it ran up this Hollywood producer's arm, and he said this monkey would always run up people's arms and stick their dick in their ear, and he'd fuck them.
Oh my God, I had no idea. Yeah, but that's Dave. Dave's monkeys.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I had no idea. See those little 70 degrees of separation. I didn't even know.
Oh no! See, that was the coolest thing. I remember that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, we would take that monkey, and he had another monkey. He had a black monkey who I would take him to the cat house every once in a while.
Yeah.
And they were like, "What about the monkey?" But they had a party for the monkey, a birthday party for the monkey in the hills, up in the Hollywood Hills, and it was the monkey. We had a black bear, we had a tiger, we had an eagle, we had
before the Tiger King.
Seal. Yeah, a seal. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And in the pool.
In a pool?
Yeah, a seal. Yeah. He had the seal. Well, he had a house up in Acton, up in Soledad Canyon. Right. So that's where the animal trainers are all up there. And he took the seal would go, and the monkey and the seal had a bit. The monkey would ride the seal and then like catch rings or something. I don't remember what they were, but
that is so awesome.
I'm like, okay, who goes to a birthday party with a monkey? And
that is
only in Hollywood,
right? Exactly. That's the typical Hollywood.
Trina has always been about it. She's just like, that's just so silly or whatever. But at the time, you got to think, people that weren't around that all the time thought that was the coolest shit, because it really was. It was so much fun, like that kind of thing. I always envied that lifestyle you had, and sometimes you like, let's go out to Hollywood. Like, you were the one that got us all into going to Hollywood and like Scream and all those places, and all that white trash and everywhere. And it was always like, if Trina took you, you were like the cool people. You were in the cool car.
Oh, that's ridiculous. Now that's just ridiculous.
Well, no, I mean, you did. You knew a lot of people. I mean, there was the time. What was the thing with Quiet Riot? And
yeah.
I mean, you had a party in Rancho Cucamonga, California, where some of these guys from these bands that were selling gold albums were hanging out at. On little
yeah. Well, we did. We hung out. You know, we had that other mutual friend, Peter, who was friends with Kevin, and so we would hang out over there with those guys in Quiet Riot a lot.
Yeah.
That's really cool. What was the kind of the catalyst to all of that? What started you getting into that kind of scene, or
It was
was it coincidental?
No, it was all of our music. Like, we all just started hanging out with music. I mean, everybody, like, from that time when our parents were going out and, like, doing disco or whatever, and then we would listen to music, and by the time we were in our early teens, everybody go and listen to the local bands, and then you just were like, okay, let's go see more bands and go to Hollywood and just drive out to Hollywood and go see bands. And so that's it. It was just the lifestyle, right? All that music, it was all there. Everybody was there.
Yeah, and it's that perfect timing because you were what, only how many miles away from downtown Hollywood? I think it's an hour. Yeah, not that long to drive. It's really quick. So it's like, what a fun.
There lived in like right in she lived in Rosemead.
Yeah.
So not too far from Pasadena, and I was literally like just, I don't know, maybe 25 miles maybe from Hollywood and downtown. So it would be nothing when I lived over there. And I was working at Long Hair Rocks too then, after from Cucamonga back out to Pasadena and Rosemead. And then I started working at Long Hair Rocks, so it was just even more. Like, okay, let's go do more.
Wasn't that kind of like a really well-known salon kind of in those the headband days, huh? That's
right.
really
Exactly.
Cool.
Yeah, I was cutting hair.
Yeah, that's so awesome. How fun. Any cool people come around that area that were?
Yeah, there were a lot of cool people. And then there were some that were, just posers. There were posers, and then there were posers. Posers.
Wasn't one of the guys that owned one of your salons? Didn't he like get a dick tattooed on his shoulder or something like that one time?
Oh, not ours, but it might have been his. It might have been his like brother-in-law's or something.
Yeah, he tried to do the same sort of thing with like another Long Hair Rock type. Store.
Yeah, it might have been his brother-in-law or something like that.
Yeah.
So somebody was trying to get
long hair. Long hair. No, didn't you learn numerology through that when you were with that or something? Didn't they have based on that?
Yeah, exactly. And it wasn't even, they called it something else. It was more about the alphabet, but it was all aligned with numerology and stuff. So I was learning a lot of that different stuff, trying to figure out, And you can see all these things that, like, they make sense, but, then they try to get you into the cult thing. They're like, okay, you're going to live under this, or, you're going to be a Scientologist, you're going to be a numerologist, or you're going to be nothing in life. Oh, yeah, okay.
Oh, whoa. I worked on that place. I worked on the one out by the casino, Saboba Casino, the one that has the ship.
Scientology?
Yeah, I worked right on that, on their property, inside, doing water for them. Yeah, I had a rig set up. They brought a guy out he was kind of a bigwig, so he had a motorcycle, but it that was a hierarchy. If you were just a schmuck, like you wear navy blue and you kind of walked around, or you rode on a bike. And if you were like the next level up, you got to ride a bicycle. And then like the high ups, the people in charge had motorcycles. And I remember we had to pull their their pump up out of the well, and it was right across the lake from where like Tom Cruise had his little pad and stuff that paid for him. But as we did it, they set up. Yeah, they have a Polynesian ship that they have a restaurant inside or whatever. And they set up a tripod, and they filmed us the whole time and asked us, "Why are you doing that? Why are you doing that? What do you do here? Why is the rig set up this way?" Like, they wanted to know everything about what we did. And when I was talking to my boss, he was like, "Oh my God, back in the 60s when we drilled this well, they sat, instead of tripods with cameras, they had M1 rifles or whatever, M14 or whatever."
I can totally imagine that. And they still would now, but
yeah.
They don't have to. They have better technology.
It was pretty crazy out there. It was wild, the Scientology thing. But I remember you telling me that, and I still remember to this day, like 4 being a bad number or something like that.
Four would I don't know. 4 was something like a bad. It was a bad number, and you associated with like 3 letters. Like the letter M was a bad letter or something.
Yeah.
It would come to like, if you think of like Mary, Margaret, Marine, MAR is to mar something, and it counted to the letter 4 or something like that.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah, and all the
in
women.
Spanish, MAL is evil. Or like a Little Evil. I knew a guy that had his nickname in his gang was Little Evil, and they called him El Malito. So MAL.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, MAL is also in Latin, I think.
Yeah. I mean, it all kind of like comes out. Somebody has some weird thing about
connection.
And M being the
Yeah.
13th letter of the alphabet.
But that's a
Yeah,
great.
and if you add, but M is if you add 3 and 1, it comes 4, and that's how it.
Right, but I see it, and I remember you
Yeah.
telling me so well about that I remember saying, well, what about 22? So 22 must really suck, and you were like, no, because 11's good.
I know. Yeah, 11 was good, 22 was good, but because there is no 33 days in a calendar, 33 would be like the next one. So like double digits worked for whatever reason. I don't remember why they worked, but
That's
That's
awesome.
crazy.
She still knew about a lot of it. Like, she still,
Yeah.
But you never got sucked into the cult.
yeah, no. You can see I'm flourishing now because I didn't get sunk into the cult.
Right, no.
Oh my god, yeah, right.
Exactly.
They're seeing some of those Scientology things coming up now on people.
I love all
Yeah, I do too. I do too. And there's a huge, since I'm out here in Albuquerque now, there's a huge Scientology place here up in northern New Mexico, I guess.
Oh, wow.
And part of it is also about that guy who they just did a documentary on him for like he killed himself in jail.
Killing stuff and-
Epstein.
Epstein.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking
Yeah.
Einstein.
And he has, yeah. Well,
Not that one.
yeah. Started with the E.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a big. He had a huge ranch up there too, and I think it's close to the Scientology place.
Oh, of course, they're always all connected.
Yeah, you know, anywhere in the middle of the desert where nobody can really see anything or do anything, except now that we have aerial, you can see them and do anything. So can't hide anymore.
Yeah. Oh man, no, they do great. I mean, I've seen some of the archaeology stuff, and so they're using the technology for some great stuff too. But they
Oh
can
yeah,
go like fully underneath
Oh, yeah.
the ground. It's amazing.
The
But then
I
light.
know that
creepy.
that excites me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then
Okay, so now, like what you wanted to get into, I know a lot, was the boxing.
oh yeah.
So when did boxing happen?
So let's see. I moved out to New Mexico in like December of '89, so 1990-ish, and then I started boxing in '96. I think I was 30. I was just turning 30, but I've been living here for about 4 years, and I was hating it. And like I got overweight. I was going to college. Just had really just like fat and aggressive. So I was like, all right, and everybody was pent up anger, and everybody was like, well, this was just before like kickboxing, Billy Banks, and like Tybo, and everybody's like, why don't you get into kickboxing? I was like, no.
Yeah.
I've never hit anything in my life, and I want to punch something or something. So,
Oh, okay, so yeah, you were kind
Yeah,
of fun.
so-
yeah.
I was like, no, it's okay. So I literally drove by this place that said a woman's place boxing gym.
Right.
I mean, like right down the street on my path from my house to my work, and I was like,
Oh, it's meant to be.
yeah. And I was like, and so I kept calling it and nobody would answer. I'd leave a message. Anyway, and the one thing that I've always been in my life is persistent for whatever it is, like you see a bug and you just go until that's done.
Totally.
And I was persistent and I kept going. And that's it. I started boxing. She walked in, she's like, do you want to fight? My coach was like, you want to fight? And I was like, yeah. I had no idea what she was talking about. I'd never seen a boxing fight in my life. I know, right?
So she basically saw based on you were just working out basically at first, kind of just
Yeah,
working
well,
at the gym.
She asked me. I think that's like a standard question for anybody that comes into a gym, for boxing. Like, do you want to fight? Do you want to be a fighter, or do you just want to train? Right? I was
Yeah.
like, yeah. Okay, I'll fight. And
Okay.
being a jock, I had been a jock, but I had never I was a rock and roll jock.
Real athletic. Yeah.
And so I said, yeah, okay, but I had no idea what she was talking about. Literally never seen a fight before. So I just would train, and like 6 months into training, like the newspaper came and they took all these pictures of us, and I made like a full-colored half-page ad in the sports section of our local paper. And then that was it. We started training. She's like, okay, let's see what you got. Like, let's see what you got. And I had ballooned up to like 200 and something pounds.
Right.
And I was leaning down, just pushing like harder than anybody in there.
Seeing results,
Like,
feeling good, or
yeah. And she was like, no matter what, no matter how hard it was, I would never quit. She's like, okay, let's put you in to like, let's take you down to spar. So we took me down to the men's gym, and she's like, all right, let's go. And I sparred this guy, and I was like, as soon as the punches started going between us, I mean, we had like some practice sparring with the girls, but I went down and I was like, this is good. This is really good.
You got that
like,
a little bit more of a pushback in bar.
I was sparring some guys like 30 pounds, maybe 40 pounds heavier than me, and he and I were just toe to toe for 4 rounds, and I was like, this is great. She's like, okay, I guess, okay. You know, that was like the test. Like, are you gonna? This will tell you if you're really made to do it or not. And so, yeah,
you
from
never
there,
know until that first good punch, right? Until you get caught.
exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
And this was still kind of a time, from what I read, like women's boxing wasn't even, well, it just recently got in the Olympics actually, right? 2012.
It did. And that's what I wanted was, like, I always wanted to be in the Olympics. Like, the only thing I remember, we'd watch the Olympics as a kid, and for gymnastics, and I just like, oh, the Olympics. I wanted, So there was no Olympics for women's boxing.
That is so crazy.
You're right. So they were like, okay, well, you're 30 years old and you're a big girl and you're in a town with a bunch of small Hispanic people, so there's like nobody to fight. You're gonna have to be professional. But I wanted to be in the Olympics. That was
And they didn't have anything, right? That drive you even harder. Then you were like, all right, I'll show you. Then we'll just have to make it.
Yeah, that's it. That was it. Like, all of us were, you know. And the girls had been fighting. They had been fighting. They just hadn't gotten that kind of like publicity.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, my coach was a boxer in the 70s.
Right.
She was a professional fighter in Vegas, and there were fighters. There were women fighters in the 30s even.
Yeah.
But there wasn't that much record from, other than like, you know, literally like TNA kind of thing.
It was more like an underground, like they made their own organization, but it wasn't being funded or, you know, brought any attention.
People that had
my coach,
whatever were taking it as novelty or something. That's bullshit.
Well, yeah, a lot of novelty. And even though they knew they could fight,
Right.
you know, when my coach fought in the 70s, she fought on cards in Las Vegas, you know, but again, it wasn't like true boxing fans would really watch it, but it was definitely a sexist thing, you know. It was like, it's a male-dominated sport. That's okay. It was hard for a lot of them.
Well, like you said, too, I wanted to reiterate that, too, because that's a big point, is the people who knew, or the people who know. Like, I've heard even, like, Rogan on his thing, you know, he talks MMA or whatever, but he talks when the females come up, he's like, that shit was brutal. You know, like, it's just as brutal or whatever, or just as aggressive and fun to watch as the dudes. Like, it's just as much.
Yep.
It should be more.
Yeah.
More cool, you know, if that's what you're into, too, you know?
That was the best. That was the best thing ever. So I was on the very first women's national amateur team, and there were only 3 of us in my weight division. So we were going to place. We were going to be gold, silver, or bronze. So I ended up getting the bronze. I got the last place of the 3 of us. I only got to fight once because it was one time and you're out. So So and I fought the gold. Ended up being the gold medalist. And she was a 5-time.
I wanted to pause real quick because I'll let it continue with this, but I didn't actually get to stop and ask the question I wanted to here. We kind of got sidetracked anyways. She goes and says that she made bronze and goes on to kind of
glosses over it because she's not real showboaty about
yes,
stuff. But
this is like a group of women that took things from being not necessarily novelty, but underground, unfunded, weren't given the same kind of
support. They didn't have a lot of the protections that a lot of the boxers had in the males' side of the sport. They didn't have a lot of the stuff that the guys had.
And these are these 3 women that kind of laid down themselves for that. They
on the national team wanted to get some seriousness out of it, I guess.
You know,
not that there weren't a lot of women that laid the groundwork beforehand because of her coach Irene was a boxer.
That's what I was going to say. Not that it was nothing going on before, but just the fact that there was just that change of trying to make it more professionalized,
Right.
more
getting recognized and having a lot more of the
logistic sides, or being
yeah, and then there's a lot of financial support that comes with
That's the
professional
main thing,
boxing,
is
and like
really-
having all these different leagues and stuff where the guys were allowed in.
where it's not just on bets and all this other,
And I think the point that Brittany was making to me the other night when we decided we were going to kind of stop it here, and she wanted to expand a little further on that, because in researching the stuff that she was about what Trina had done, like Trina was right there, kind of was like, okay, like if you notice everything, it was like, if this wasn't in place, I was going to go and make it happen, or I was going to get on top of it and make it happen. And just in those girls sticking with it, knowing that they were probably going to, it doesn't feel good to be one of three people.
and
then,
you're all placing purposefully in a way.
yeah,
like
it's kind of like, you're going to be juggled amongst that, but then you're waiting for other girls to start joining in. And this is where I think you talked about the fact that now when Brittany was researching this, she looked it up, and there was just so
many young
females
girls,
that were
like,
involved in the
not
sport
even
now.
just like, not even trying to just be pro. Girls just in the gym wanting to be boxers.
Yeah, it's just-
like, well, not that
like,
pro
why
is not a
not?
good thing too, but I'm saying, like, just the fact that it's now become more like girls want to actually just box
Mainstream.
for their own exercise, for their own aggressive, to get out that a more
I guess just
she'll
the
actually, I
physical
won't
side of the
talk
aggression.
about it, because Trina actually talks about that feeling later.
Oh,
So
yeah.
that feeling,
Yeah, yeah.
girls are now being able to use boxing to get out what she will later explain, what she gets
the
out
secret
of boxing.
science. They get
Yeah.
they experience the secret science just like dudes do.
Regardless
what I mean?
of
Tyson talks about, everybody talks.
ever having a real fight, and you could just spar and have also a different camaraderie with women in
Yeah.
a more aggressive, not aggressive to each other, but having that, it's a whole different platform for women to be working in a gym together. And so I just wanted to stop because I didn't get to in the middle of this. We kind of got off on a new topic, and it was my bad. I'm new to this, to stop when I have something
Yeah,
I
but
wanted
we
to
wanted
talk
to.
about.
We felt like, hey, this is a good time that we could practice that kind of a thing too. Is if we wanted to chime in and talk a little bit more, expand more on something that we didn't
That we
maybe
forgot,
get to say.
or not forgot, just it got on my head, and then we started
Yeah.
talking, and I lost it. But
Yeah, give the Partridge Family high five to everybody. Pa, 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 pa. All right.
okay, we're gonna
Back
go
to
back
painting.
to painting. WoodburyHillStudio@gmail.com. I'll be checking the whole time for any
Did you see
painting
if the chat's
questions,
going on or anything?
and I'll be checking chats as well. All right, back to it.
Golden Gloves champion from New York, from like a serious New York gym,
Yeah.
serious Golden Gloves gym, and I was like, oh my god, I was scared to death. I was scared to death of
That
her.
New York attitude too behind her.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Swagger.
She had experience.
Oh yeah, she came from Gleason's boxing gym, which is like probably one of the most famous boxing gyms. And yeah, and she was a 5-time Golden Glove champion. So and she just gave me the
Right.
yeah. That was her look before she came into the ring, and I told my coach, I said, my coach goes. My coach would just be like, she was always like, stare him down, right? And so my coach looked at me, and she goes, turn around. And she had me look at her, and she was like, focus on me.
Not
Okay.
every bird.
That's
Yeah.
And you're talking to someone who was probably fighting in the 70s where it wasn't so regulated and everything, so it was a little bit more
Oh yeah,
in the basement
Yeah.
where it was dirty, and like she's like, yo.
oh yeah, yeah. She's mean, man. My coach is mean. She's like 5. I look at the pictures, like me and her, and I'm like, and in my head, she's up here and like this, And I look at the picture of us smiling, and like she's right here, and I'm like, oh, God, she's short.
Yeah.
I forget.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I forget that she's only that big, but in my mind, she's like,
That's how you fight, though. I never really sat and watched the fight, but that's what she said when she hit me up, like we were passing in the hallway. She's like, "Damn, I couldn't believe how aggressive she was, but not like in a mean way, but like just handle it."
And very in control. I loved your approach. You were very authoritative, strong, and you had a lot of command. It was really cool because you have such a. Anytime I've ever had any association with you, it's really soft, and not you're always nice and soft to me.
Yeah, you're always giggling and like,
Yeah.
what the fuck?
Yeah.
You know, and
Because most of the time I'm happy.
Yeah.
it was awesome. It was
But
really great.
Oh, thank you. It's definitely a duality, like, you know, that's where you get to, like, really express everything. I figured out that, and then this is for anything. I'm sure you can say this in your art, that you can find any parallel in life related to your art, right? Like
Right.
you literally can, right? You're like, okay, the way colors blend, and this is the way people can react to each other, the way colors can blend to each other, right? And I can say the same thing that comes down to me for the passion of boxing. Literally every life lesson or relatable situation can be found in boxing. You know, it teaches me so much. Like,
Right.
a big thing is never underestimate anybody. Well, that's like one of your number one rules in boxing. Never underestimate anybody in a fight. Or you don't know. Like, you don't know if they're going to come at you with a pen and stab you, or, you know, you just don't know what it could be. So it could be the littlest, most inconspicuous person, and you just can't underestimate them. And so those parallels run from boxing into life, you know, the one everybody knows, roll with the punches. I'm sure you have all of those same parallels in art. Sometimes you're like, wow, you can relate.
Yeah.
It's just a simple life
Thing. You
Yeah.
just gotta push through, whatever. I used to always say,
Yeah.
I try to tell everybody, like, I always have the feeling, like, with art or in fighting as well, right across the street from your house, I got choked out by a guy named Junior, who was, like, half my size, like, when we got...
What?
Oh, yeah, it was a kid fight, years ago. But it taught me the same lesson, like, you know, and I always say, like, everybody's equally capable of potential greatness. You know what I mean? Like, you just
Yep,
don't stand
exactly.
anybody. Anybody. I mean, if you listen to, like we listen to Mike Tyson's podcast now, and to hear...
Oh, yeah.
Have you listened to his podcast?
A couple of them.
Yeah.
I love him.
I
Oh,
know.
I did not know that dude existed within there. Like, I did not.
I know, right?
Yeah,
It's crazy. I wanted to see his comedy tour. He just got off his comedy tour a little while ago.
Oh, wow.
I missed it. I wanted to see. Yeah, he so underestimated in terms of inside of him. What,
Yeah.
like,
He's deaf. He's got
He
a lot
is,
of stuff.
yeah.
In the way he is, like, almost an encyclopedic knowledge of boxing styles and great...
Oh, for sure.
And, like, that was everything to him, and how it was so driven into him, you know? Did you experience that? Like, was that, like, another level, too, with people that you met, certain rap trainers or something like that?
Oh, 100%. Like, it was... Yeah, so many people had so many... the farther I got into boxing, the more I couldn't get in deep enough. Like, I can't get in deep enough. I'm like, there's so much more. Like, every time, I'm like, here comes another layer. And then going from a professional fighter and then becoming a commissioner.
That's what I was just gonna say. I was like, that's probably
Yeah.
what happened. Is you were into boxing and you just kind of couldn't get out of it once you.
Oh, no way. Yeah. And if I could go back.
Right.
Yep. Yeah. If I can be a commissioner again, I will be. I mean, there was a chance that I was going to be one again, just not too recently, but I was in the middle of taking care of some other stuff. But being a commissioner, because then I got to see all of the business side of it, and I got to meet so many more trainers, and so many more. And I was in Vegas a lot. I went to fights every 3 months in Vegas. And I got to work very closely with the Nevada Commission. And I know all of the referees and, you know, all the officials. And Mark Ratner was my actual, he was more of a mentor to me in terms of being a commissioner, him and another man named Joe Chavez. And so for actually being a commissioner, he was the chief athletic director for the Nevada Athletic Commission, doing all the big fights.
Probably
with Manny Pacquiao and all that. He's actually the vice president of UFC.
Okay.
But you don't hear his name, but
Right.
so he was actually kind of mentored me. He actually worked with me on my pro debut too in boxing. So he already knew me. Like when we went up, he's like, oh yeah. He's like, and I remembered meeting him when I was a fighter. Yeah. So I would go out every 3 months and I would go to the fights and I would work with him and I'd sit at the table, which is the ringside table where we do the scorecards. And, you know, besides learning learning the master scorecards from the official standpoint. So I'm learning them from the judges and working with the judges. And then we would go to these different regulations things, and I would send out and have judges and referees come out and do seminars for my officials. So we would work really closely.
I see. So that was like sort of after, like, so that's part of that's where you go from being a ref, right? Like if you're a ref, you kind of go that direction. Or is that the same thing? Or were you a ref as well? Did you ref?
So no, I didn't ref, and I was going to ref, but as a commissioner, you can't ref. As a commissioner, you have you have the ultimate authority. Like you're the stamp of approval, literally, right? Ultimately, in a fight, the referee has the whole control of everything. The judges will judge the fight. The referee has control and can stop the fight anytime. But the commissioner can override. Not that they will. They work together. So the commissioner appoints the referees and appoints the judges and approves the bouts, approves the weights, approves the contracts, controls the money of it, the taxes, the licensing, make sure that they have all the medical attention that they need prior to a fight. So, and that's what I loved about it, is because at that point I got a chance to make sure that I appointed a medical advisory board for our state. And I also got MMA regulated in our state. I helped go for the regulation and licensing through the state. So
was that a battle due to? Oops, sorry, I almost fell on you. Was there a battle due to kind of the? I mean, not so much now, but I'm at the time more of a stigma to the sport.
No, because it was really starting to like revive again. Like, so after Tyson, it kind of went down for a while. Yeah. And then it came back up with Manny Pacquiao and Morales and all of those guys.
Yeah,
so it was coming back up
for a while, kind of overshadowed, I feel, for a minute, and then it kind of brought back up.
Yeah, so it was coming. It was coming up, and it was flourishing, and then UFC was coming, like tailgating right in behind it at the same time, the MMA. So, and it wasn't that. It was just MMA was getting more mainstream again, and then.
Right.
So it was really helpful to see.
It was just not established yet. So it wasn't like you guys were having difficulties in New Mexico getting it established. It just you were just on the way.
Yeah, no.
Ones who just happened to get it started.
Yeah. It just hadn't been, we didn't have it in the licensing. We had all combative sports were there, but I just wanted to make sure that like the rules and regulations for their particular sport were in there, and for the licensing for them, and making sure like they set up the point system, because some of it, they were trying to base it mixed on regular martial arts. They were kind of going with.
Oh, okay. Okay, so not the whole thing, right? Like not.
Yeah, yeah. So that was fun. I actually went up to they call it's the state legislation, and stood in front of the legislators and did that with a couple pretty big MMA coaches in the state of New Mexico. So it was me, and they came up there to support me. They're like, I'm like, will you guys support me? They're like, yep. And they sat with me and helped me write out the rules and stuff.
That's pretty cool. That's an amazing step from being, because most people would just assume a fighter would move on to other things, but that's, those are bold moves, and they're also intimidating moves. Kind of go into a place that's like,
yeah. I was tripping out. I was just tripping out basically because I didn't even know you had gotten into boxing. I mean, we had lost touch for so long, and then
I know.
I saw a picture of you with a belt or something like that after I started talking to your brother again, and I was like, "What? She's boxing? Like she doesn't have a mean bone in her body. Like she can't box like that. She can't do that. She'll hurt people." Like,
but that's something I actually kind of learned about fighting. Is it's not that these people, you guys are mean. It's not mean people. No. It's just like you said. It's a whole other form of expression. Or
no, the mean ones suck at it.
Yeah, the mean ones suck at it.
Yeah. They can, because they can't, like you were saying about, they don't have that control over it. Like
no, it's the rage is controllable.
Yeah. When people say they see red, or they blanked out, whatever, and that can happen. That is not controlled chaos. That is not controlled fury.
No.
And that's what you learn, like in fighting, is you learn to be like, just in that moment and to be able to say, and then just be tactical. And it's just a matter of tactics, you know.
So that's a good topic that I actually want to talk about, because I was watching the Kendra, which was 10 rounds, right? So, I mean, you had the lead the whole entire time, and you were the aggressor. But, she did get some good hits. And what's that like during that long exhaustion? I mean, 10 rounds is a long time, regardless of getting hit or not. But then when you are, and then also to, I don't know if this is true, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I heard there's also when you swing and miss, that adds a lot of like added exertion. Like, I don't know,
Oh,
like
for sure.
How is
it? No, it's wasted energy.
Yeah.
It's exactly. It's wasted energy. So that's like, you expend energy, and then there's like, it's extension of energy, and then there's no bonus to it, right?
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know, throw a fishing pole, throw a fishing pole, throw a fishing pole, throw a fishing pole, you get nothing.
Yeah.
Wasted all day doing it. Yeah.
I think too, like, touching on that whole thing, like, I don't know, like you were saying, like when you started the boxing, you were in a different place, like mentally kind of too. You were kind of angry, and, you were kind of depressed and all that other stuff. And I think a lot of that too, I think it comes from, like, I didn't even know what being present or being in the moment was, like, even what that meant. And I think a lot of that, like, that probably helped. Like, I mean, it calms. I'm an angry person. I had a lot of problems. I have 3 diplomas from anger management, so that tells you how much. But no, that's not something.
David Hill, angry?
No, what someone tells you about, and you kind of figure out, oh, why I'm such a prick, or why I'm being angry, whatever.
Right.
You're responsible.
Yeah, because you're not present.
Right. Mm-hmm. And then that's what I was thinking. That had to really, like, then you kind of go, oh, wow. And it really opens up a lot. I don't know.
It does. No, it does. Like, and they're talking about it too when you're doing your art, like, you're present when you're doing your art. You're like you're in that flow. You're in the moment. That's the only time, right? You're literally like, when you get, and somebody says, oh yeah, you're getting in the flow, or I'm in the groove, or I'm in, like, I'm on it right now. I'm happening, or whatever it is. And for musicians, it's the same thing, they lose track of it because you're literally living in that moment. I think that being present and being active. I have one particular fight, and hopefully I can get it recorded to transfer to get it uploaded. But I know, like, almost that whole fight that I was completely in the present, like, without a doubt. Like, that fight to me is still very surreal. Like, I can still go back and feel and know that fight because I remember everything was in slow motion in that fight. Like,
would you say that's kind of the chase, the high that fighters get? Because I can imagine as you're saying that, I'm like, I can equate that to painting, where there's moments when I want to feel that, where you are just on it, you're making all the right decisions, and
and they're effortless.
Yes.
100%. Like, you don't even know what or how it came from, and you go, like
I love to watch you with Kendra. Like, she went to come at you before, like, you had seen so many times already stepped ahead what she was doing, and you were already out of the direction. And so I'd watch her totally swing and miss and pull all this weight. And I love that. Like, I'm assuming that's a lot of that feeling you're talking about, where you're already seeing ahead of everything.
Yep, and that's exactly it. For in boxing, that's why they call it the sweet science. Like, yeah, it's called the sweet science because it literally is scientific. Like, I thought a long time ago, before I even started boxing, and I didn't really watch it. But then when I first started, I had heard about Mike Tyson, and I was like, and people who didn't know boxing, you just think, meh, stupid, big,
brutal,
punchy guy, brutal guy, brute. But once you got into the art of boxing, because it's an art and it's a science of its own.
100%.
Yeah. It's just, it literally is like you said, they're coming in and you just gracefully step because you see this, so your job is the next move is a pivot.
Yeah.
Whatever that pivot to the flow, and then from there you're in another position to take an angle. Right, the same way I'm sure when you're painting, you're like, if I stroke like this, then
the outcome in the next one's going to be this way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you already see.
Yeah.
You see what you're doing, but you also see what you're doing right now, but you see 3 steps ahead what the next
What
the next thing is going to be.
Yeah.
So,
It's good.
and
that's what
that's
life's
the
about.
presence.
Yeah.
That's the ebb and flow. That's the presence. I've been doing a lot of new meditation too for have you ever looked at Joe Dispenza?
No.
Oh man, I'll send you some links. But he's
Yeah.
talking about all the neurosynaptic synapses that go off when you change and getting into your now flow and different stuff like that. He's a neurologist scientist, and I'm big on neurology. And my coach was really big on neurology. In fact, she was very huge on presence and being in the now and neurological differences on how you train your brain and how many different neurons that you can activate every time you learn something new, and then how once you learn it, you got to repeat it so that you build that memory, and then so you build new connections in your brain.
I love
And that's how my coach was. So, I mean, she was like that 100% of the time. She would never tell me, "Hey, do something," and I didn't do it. It was done.
Right.
The way you lived.
Right. Well, no, remember you were going to do, Brittany had been working on paintings where she had done it was kind of a cool idea she was thinking. She was going to do a large painting or a smaller painting of a nebula, which is like one of the largest things taken by the Hubble telescope.
Yeah.
You're going to do a large painting of a synapse firing, like a thought firing within your brain and how, you know what I mean? Like she
And
was
show
into
that
whole thing.
expansion from the moment something fires all the way to showing the further and further expansion of everything.
Oh yeah, we used to have coffee and discuss whether or not other animals had emotions, and then they had evolved the necessity of emotion before, and that developed into a theory about that's gonna we discussed how it was gonna be our kind of species dead end. You know what I mean? Because it makes us want what everybody else has, and we won't stop having sex for no reason. You know what I mean? Like that whole thing.
Right. Absolutely. Oh my God. Yeah. Absolutely. I remember every time. And it just does. It goes. That's what I'm talking about. Where you're folding in, you start folding in because you're like, I need to go deeper. You're like, and then and you keep going deeper, and you're down to like just the smallest minute thing, and then you're studying that the smallest part of it. Like you're like that little bit makes a difference to everything in the whole world.
It's crazy.
Yeah, and how it literally affects anything and everything. This is the crazy thing. I never told anybody, but as a kid, I would look at, and I'm only realizing it now because I remembered it now because of listening to these other, like, the way your brain works and getting into that stuff. But I'd look at my fingernail, right?
Uh-huh.
And I would think, what's inside my fingernail? And this is what put me into biology at school. I'm like, what's inside your fingernail? Like, and what little microorganisms are in there, and what little things are in there, like, and how do they connect, and the little veins that might be underneath my fingernail, and there can be things that are living under there that are like not necessarily having emotions, but they're alive.
They're existing and living in this exotic life form, like they're needing that area to exist.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is all the stuff that we can't see. Like some of it we're starting to be able to see now that we couldn't see before, but into those super and like that in the brain when everything that's firing. There's something like once you learn one new thing, something like 26,000 new neurons grow when you learn something new, and then once you remember it, then it grows.
That's a whole nother thing. Yeah,
I know, insane, right?
But then memories aren't time stamped, and then so that's the reason we have like the deja vu and everything, because the memory's a memory.
Yeah.
You don't know if it was a millisecond ago or a million years ago.
Yeah, exactly. And you can put yourself in that thing, and you can be like, I could do a full visualization, like even Tiger Woods and everybody would do, and Michael Jordan. They do their stuff. They visualize all of it, right? All of everything they're doing, throwing the hoop, making the basket, whatever. And my coach had me doing the same thing, and I was doing that. That's how we trained. Like, we trained physically all the time, and then we trained mentally. She had me mentally training all the time.
painting, man. You have to. You have to.
Yeah.
Not just a physical. You have to mentally tell yourself you're there. It's done. You're already ahead of it.
Yeah. See, and I can't paint inside the lines or draw a straight line. So that I just love it. I love artists. I wish I could do it. And I get all the parallels with.
I think you could get into. I think you would actually get into artwork or painting.
I love it, but I can't do it.
Oh, I bet you could.
I bet you, but I bet you it would drive you nuts because you already have a lot of stuff going on anyway. So that's a whole nother box of thing to open. Like I thought of that when I saw the digital like iPads and you could paint with them, like iPaint and everything. I was like, I don't even want to see it because then it's a whole nother box of shit I gotta get into. So
no, I do.
What's up with the tags for rescue? Or what's up with the?
I have one on. I think I have one on. Yeah, these are so. You see them?
Awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, we can see.
Okay, and then something like this. So what I do is I take their old dog tags. They're literally tags from license tags for your pets. And then I'll convert them into some sort of jewelry. And then anything when I sell them, I'll just give a portion of that to the animals rescues so they can help.
That is so cool. What a great way.
You on Etsy or what are you doing on?
I did have them on Etsy. I haven't put anything up in a while. I just haven't made anything for a while. But yeah,
Etsy. So whatever.
Yeah.
Going off on the pet stuff lately. I've seen a lot of like.
I know.
Stuff like that.
There's so much, and I made some with leather. I made vegan ones for because like in my heart I'm that way, but although I'm a carnivore eater, so
My thing is I feel like plants are living too, so I can't eat.
They are living.
Yeah.
They 100% are.
I wish eventually we do want to travel and then get to a place where we can just grow everything around, living on property where we, because that would be awesome.
Yeah.
Like grow everything, have chickens, and not be like the sort of. Oh, let me get my cat real quick. You want to talk real quick?
Yeah.
Here.
Okay.
All right, I'll be right
Our
back.
cat just woke up. So
Yay!
snuggle
fart. I can't believe you have a white kitty. She's beautiful.
Oh, he's bad. Oh, that's funny though, because we named him Princess for the first 2 weeks we had him, and then our neighbor came over and he's like, "Why are you calling him Princess?" And we were like, "What? It's a he?" And he said, "Yeah." And we were like, "Oh, okay." So look, he's so fluffy, we can't even tell.
Yeah. Yeah.
We only know we stuck to him.
I love it that you guys take him with you backpacking or hiking, whatever, in his little thing. Do you put him on a leash too? You do, don't you?
Yeah, he was on. We had him to where it was weird. We went through a big old thing at our apartments, and this lady complained that all the dogs had to have leashes. So why? Because our cat goes out 3 times a day with us, and he used to just follow us like a dog.
Yeah.
And like, why doesn't our cat have to have a leash? So we got him a harness and a leash and got him trained on it and everything. But anyways, long story. He ended up. Oh, this one, baby. He ended up being on a fence walking, and a branch went through his harness, and so he freaked out, and I lifted him off the fence, and he clawed the shit out of me. So I pushed out and slung him down, and he had a bunk leg that had fused.
Uh-huh.
We found him when he was 9 months old, and I'll send you his X-ray that we got of it.
Okay.
But when he had so in 9 months of his life, he had been attacked or something where it had broken his leg, and it had flipped around, and the bottom part of his bone had reattached to the back side of his bone.
So it was completely flipped.
Like it fused.
Right,
Yeah.
Fused really weird.
Upside down.
Like a kickstand, kind of a leg that sticks out all the time.
Yeah.
So when I threw him down, it re-broke all that. And so it was just re-breaking it. And they thought that I beat him up that night. It happened to be on 4/19 and April 19th. So it was right on the pandemic.
Yeah.
So we took him to a 24-hour.
We have his doctor, and his doctor would have just taken care of him. But it was the middle of the night, so we went to this 24-hour emergency.
Yeah.
We have him on a plan. We pay $80 a month, literally.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that night it was like 8 o'clock at night. Nothing was open, so we had to take him there, and then they wouldn't let us in because the COVID. You know what I mean? So we're like on a porch laying this information between this kid and the doctor.
So it's like
and
going
the kid's
through
looking at me
people.
like, yeah, right. It was an old injury, buddy. You know, and I'm like, I'm serious.
Yeah.
You beat up my
They're
cat.
like,
Yes, I slept.
yeah.
And yes, it's my fault, but I didn't do it out of anger. I did it because he was fucking
Well,
me up.
our point was is we were trying to tell him, like, don't hyper focus on the fact that he's a
Look
phone's
for
away.
other things.
Look for other
I was
things.
like wanting to find, because I thought I heard his slide or something. But the way he was sitting.
Yeah, you're like something else could be happening.
Yeah, I just want him out of pain, but don't hyper focus on this leg. It's old. And then, so they like the whole night they were like,
You're gonna have
they have to amputate, and they called us like 3 a.m. Are you gonna amputate his leg?
They were like, they were trying to get us.
Hold on, man. So you got to think it was.
No, you could just wait. Do his pain management through the night until we get to my freaking bed.
Yeah, that's what we ended up doing. He ended up being okay, and actually, he walks on his foot better now. I've seen him actually like bend, because before they would just kind of stay hard, you know, and now I actually see kind of a little crinkle in his paw.
Oh,
He's back on it, kind of back to at least where he was. It still sticks out, but it's not like rebroke. But when I saw what had happened, I was like, this cat's a badass. I don't know how he survived.
They are though, man. They're tough.
Oh yeah, little predators.
I know.
Doing?
Huh?
How's everybody doing?
Everybody's good. Everybody's great. Yeah. Rob's out there, and he's good. Crazy and funny as ever.
Right.
Oh, you're cutting out. There we go.
Awesome.
Okay.
Well, right on. I think we've been on here a minute, right? Hour and a half.
Oh yeah.
Oh gosh,
A minute or two.
Yeah.
Wait, let me go back to something real quick.
Yes.
Yeah. So babysitting, our moms were like disco queens.
Right.
David and I's moms were disco queens. We
Right.
and we flipped every other weekend. We would flip. We'd either babysit at my house or babysit at Dave's house. Right. And because I was the oldest, Cheryl's 1 year younger than me? Your
Right.
sister?
Yes. I think
3 years older, or
she's 2 years older than me.
so
She was born in '68.
Okay, so she's 2. Okay, yeah. So literally, if you guys don't know, I've literally known David since he was born.
Mm-hmm.
wow, that's so
Yeah, yeah. Because I was born in '66, and so yeah, Cheryl was 2 years. Yeah, so I was the oldest, so I would babysit this guy, and our moms were hilarious. They would dress up in the spandex kind of things.
green or something
I've
like
been
that.
telling her about my mom.
Rust, orange rust, and lime green. Yeah, his mom wore the lime green or the blue one, like kind of like this, but shimmery blue. Shimmery blue. Yeah, that was all shimmery, and they were bodysuits that they put over. I don't know what they put a skirt over them.
I don't know what they.
I can't recall, but
It was
yeah.
hilarious, though.
And that's when that's when David would draw. Well, even before that. But you were drawing ships and drawing all kinds of.
Was
I
I?
remember. Oh my God! You had this huge thing of a ship, and remember you had the coffee table, and every once in a while you leave it out on the coffee table. At your house, you had a coffee table. Your ship drawing would be out on the coffee table. I think that would be like either one you were working on still or whatever. I wish I had one of those old ones.
Do you remember? I
That's
asked Rob.
so crazy.
I actually DM'd Rob the other day on Instagram.
Uh-huh.
You ever remember?
Oh yeah, he was.
That I drew?
Cool.
I drew a maze. You know how you find your way through a maze? I used to this maze page by page, and I would make them line up together, and then I would tape them together at a seam, and it would continue onto the next page. And I did it, and we got it so.
Did you do those at our house?
Yes, I
when
did.
you lived at our house?
I carried this thing around with me. It was a roll like this.
Yeah.
Page. It went down our whole street. By the time I was
do.
maze.
I vaguely remember it, and I think that's when is that when you were living in our house?
I would live at your house. Yeah, I was there off and on all the time.
Yeah, but I mean, there was a time where you were actually full time living there for a little while. That's when you were living in the room, rubbing. It was Jane's Addictions every night. Bane's Addiction every day, every night. My mom goes, if I hear that fucking song one more time, because I'd be like on the radio, I was like, oh, listen, if I hear that fucking song one more time, I was like, oh.
Yep. That's Bane's Addiction.
Yeah.
He has a podcast now too, Freddie Farrell. I still listen.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
He had Mark Ulrich on from Metallica, and I told him, be careful, don't say the name, don't say anything, you're going to have to owe him a nickel,
I'm Metallica.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no. Yeah. You know, our other friend, another friend of ours, was actually their sound guy for a long time.
Really?
Yeah, one of our Chino friends, one of Red's friends.
Red lives in Norco now, right?
No, he's still in Ontario.
Oh, okay, because I know I still follow him on Instagram, Red Herd, right?
He's in Norco a lot.
Oh, okay, is he like training or something with horses? I see him with horses.
Yeah, he's working with horses. Mm-hmm. Him and his son.
Oh, then that Norco's popular for the horses.
Yeah, that's where we met.
Yeah.
When we were living in Norco together. I lived in a tattoo.
I remember when you first started dating. I remember, and then I remember running to you guys at the gas station right before I was moving back.
Yeah, it was right before
in Riverside.
Yeah. Wow, that's crazy. That was
and you had the bungalow too. After you were at the tattoo shop in Norco, and you were there, and I think you were kind of living in the tattoo shop, were you?
In the back.
Yeah, you were living there, and you were. I don't know if you were coming around or if you were not quite there yet. And then you ended up getting the bungalow in Riverside.
Yeah, that's when we started. That's when we got together. We've been together since.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I remember, and I was working in Riverside down the street. And I was like,
yeah, we did it. It was like it was right off the freeway. It was where the five meet and everything.
Main, off of Main.
Yeah,
Main.
right where we.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was that Main.
Main and Town and Country.
Yeah.
No, Main.
Oh no, Riverside.
Yeah, it was
Main and
Riverside.
First.
Yeah, it was Main and First. Something like that.
Somewhere around there. But anyways, yeah. And then what about Steve? You knew Steve Jones, right? Didn't he do something? The Swamp People. Is that what he did?
Yeah. So he has a really big company now, and if I can remember the name of it, it is. He's a production. I can't remember. He did. He worked with Swamp People. He did a whole bit. In fact, he actually worked a lot with. Remember the guy who? It's cleaning, not Mr. Pillow, but.
A clean, like OxyClean?
Yes. He helped with the infomercial guy with OxyClean too. What is it called? It's when his business is basically he gets together like ideas, people with ideas, and then the producers, and he's the middleman, and he puts them together. Huh?
Almost like a runner. Would that be a runner?
Yeah, and I think that's I think.
Yeah, those.
But he owns a.
Yeah.
Yeah, he owns a huge business. He actually has a lot to do with Burning Man too.
Oh wow, that's a good gig.
No, we pitched it.
Yeah.
We actually pitched it.
That's it. That's the name of. That's it. His company's called the Pitch Man.
Oh, that's so
crazy.
Funny. No, we
You
actually
got
ended
me.
up having lunch with the producer, the first producer from LA Inc. And Diamond pitched I wrote it and pitched the show and got a meeting. We got a meeting. We were going to do the show. He would tell us we were going to budget it. We're going to build you a bricks and mortar building and everything because that's what they did with LA Inc. They took
Right. Oh yeah, that's right.
Built her that shop.
So she actually
Gave her the shop, and then they had to lease the shop back from her when they filmed in it during the day. Isn't that crazy? Like that was part of
That is crazy.
But
That's smart.
yeah, she's a bomb business person. But
Yeah.
I was talking to Louis Barreto, who was the producer of that first season, and me and Brittany were going to do a show where we went out and hunted skulls, like animal skulls.
Yeah, like you were doing when you were out there in the desert.
What I thought was kind of a cool idea is that you could find ones for people that wanted wanted particular ones, but then also I thought people that like scientists want to study why certain animals are dying off or why like the certain breeds have disappeared. Well, a lot of that is finding what happens out in nature with these remains. So I was like, what a cool way of trying to find stuff.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
I like all the.
Oh, that is awesome. Yeah, me too. I think that I remember when you were going out there and getting a lot of them, and that's why when you guys started doing with the crab for your other model and building the crown and stuff, I was like, I know where this comes from.
Yep.
I was like, I know exactly where this comes from.
So I had moved out here because we were used to in the Bone Desert. You know, you see how there's bones everywhere. Well, now we're in Washington. Everything's like full of like moss and water. Oh, that's a pain.
Yeah. So rad.
Thank you. But yeah, once we came up here, we're like, oh my gosh, there's nothing to go hunt. So we started getting into like culinary mushroom hunting.
Chanterelle mushroom hunting.
Ah, that's what. Okay.
For pieces, and that's kind of what started building all these new pieces.
Yeah, one of them is a big artist conch mushroom that we found.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, that one huge one, that head.
Yeah.
That's an actual mushroom.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh man, do you guys?
On a tree.
There's a lot of lion's mane mushroom up there, right?
Yeah.
Yes, and that's the one that's really good for your cognitive.
Yeah.
Very good. Yeah. I follow those guys, those four somatic guys, and Taro from Finland.
I want to start meeting more people because there's big groups because it's the Pacific Northwest. So there's a lot of big.
Yeah, you're huge
up here.
Oh, I found. I went out hiking one day and I found. I was so proud of myself. It looks a lot like it from a distance, but it's called a cauliflower mushroom. And we hydrate them and used them as soup noodles. Yeah.
For like a ramen almost kind of soup noodle. Yeah.
They have ones called chicken of the woods, and you could pull them apart and deep fry them like chicken nuggets.
I made a little chicken nuggets out of them. Yeah, it was really good.
Really?
Yeah.
Crazy. Crazy.
It's so much fun.
Crazy.
See, though, we want to come down there. Those pictures were like, oh, we want to go down.
I know. I was like, as I was driving and I'm up to the hospital, I was like, you guys would be dying. And when I said O'Keefe, and I was like, and I hadn't checked my message back, but for the George O'Keefe Museum and the.
She was one of my influences, yeah. Because she did skulls. I like skulls.
Yep. David's always like skulls. I have a picture of you painting that mural that you painted for me at my house and at my grandmother's house.
About that mural,
Yeah, the Mexican Aztec thing. I was like,
it was a Mayan funerary mask or whatever.
Yeah. I have. Yeah, remember because I had all those masks from Mexico. I had a whole bunch of them. And then so.
Mind sending those. I'd love to lay over some of these any cool
Yeah,
pictures while we because when I record it, I can embed some photos.
Okay, I'll find some of those scans. I know I have one of you gave me. You have a skull cap on. You're like painting it, and
That'll be a hoot.
I wish I had the ones from when you were younger. And you know what I'm really mad about? I never got a tattoo from you. Only Rob did. Not mad. I'm just like, I was like, damn it, I never got a tattoo.
We'll have to make that happen. I'm showing. She's been tattooing me, so.
Oh yeah.
They don't let anything happen right now. Like even the driving thing. Like we keep saying, we got to go down there and visit everybody, but I have to get my license back, and they won't let me do it. I have to go out and take the actual driving test, and they won't do it right now because of the COVID.
What?
Yeah.
They have to be able to let you do that because it's a.
Maybe I'm not yet. You know what I mean? But I checked like a good 3 weeks ago.
Well, I went to the weed shop the other day, or it was actually this morning. And they have a sign saying that they'll take expired licenses right now because they can't. Yeah. Because they can't, people get their new ones.
Because nobody can renew them and stuff. So people call. I know people are asking all the time, and I'm like, that's ridiculous because they still want to ticket people for not having expired tags and I'm like, but it's impossible right now, and you're like.
They don't care. They just want their money.
Yeah.
Money.
It's confusing.
I know.
We'll all figure it out.
Yeah. Actually, I'll be honest with you. I've actually kind of liked it. I've actually really. I'm like, you know what? This is bitching. Like,
yes.
I'm like, I'm sorry everybody else's life is sucking right now, but this is freaking kicking ass.
Yeah.
I mean,
had time to get done that we've been wanting to get done for so long. And
Yeah, and you get to just you just get to be you without interfering all this other crap. I mean, there are inconveniences, obviously, like you're not getting a license, but we had inconveniences before. You realize that it's like everything doesn't have to be in this exact minute. Hurry up right now in 20 seconds.
Yep.
Like the Google search will find for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool though. I don't know. We chilled. We had a great time.
And our online store ended up like booming and like doing really
I'm so happy for you. I am so happy for you on that.
Fun.
Who built it?
Britt.
I thought so. Yeah.
She's very, very busy. That's it. I'm always hiding. Like I always want to paint, draw, or do something where I can hide.
I'm good at the monotony stuff. Like I can do like the stuff that takes a little bit more.
That's another part of the teamwork, though. That makes it easy. That makes it really good. Just remember, David, that God forbid anything happen, or freaking she has a down moment where she can't do something. You better get a backup plan. No, seriously, get an assistant, somebody who knows how to do stuff for you guys in case you can't fulfill your side of something.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I know. There's so much going on.
I'm pretty good though.
Yeah.
I'm a healthy cat. I am. I was gonna try to backflip a BMX bike across one of those mega ramps.
Uh-huh. Do you remember down at the end of our street and a little bit up, like right before we would hit San Bernardino Road, the big field that you guys used to like?
Yeah.
And then the field that was behind your house too. There was a field that was behind.
Yeah, I could see forever. I could see all the way to the street.
You said jump in?
Yeah.
That's so awesome.
Yeah, and we had the orchards. You go hide out on the top of the block.
Pretty area, huh? Everything was all open.
Yep. I used to get beamed a lot. You remember people dying on Hellman? I used to tell Brittany all the time about
Yes, crossing because of the water.
Yep.
Yeah.
Craziest thing.
You remember that though? People like every.
Oh yeah, for sure. All the time they go and then they'd get caught underneath when it was trying to go over underneath Foothill.
Yep.
Yep.
No, my dad in 1969 there were the floods in Cucamonga. He told me that if he wasn't driving a Volkswagen, he existed because he tried to cross Hellman and it caught him and it took him all the way down where everybody would get tumbled at the bottom right there and then buried.
Mm-hmm.
But since the Volkswagen exploded, it lifted him up and it took him right up over Foothill.
And it took him up over Foothill?
And when it went over Foothill, he said the highest point was right in the middle of Foothill, so the tires caught, and he stopped right at the top of Foothill, like right in the dead center of Foothill and Hellman. And it stopped the water.
I remember the Volkswagen you guys had.
Yeah, the little red one.
Yeah, I remember that. And then your mom's blue Datsun B210 that we used to all cram into. When we go to, I don't know, the beach or the lake or something, I don't know.
All the time, the Waspi.
Yeah, Boston. Yeah. But we all crammed in the little B210, or my mom's Z, which is even worse.
I remember the Z.
Those little cars, huh?
I also remember your dad taking us hiking. I know.
Anyway, but he, to the detriment of that, though, he did get them into Calico all the time, and he'd be adventurous, thinking that they were invincible, and they could go literally down any cavern that existed, and they literally had no fucking clue what they were doing. No water, no lantern, no nothing with them. No supplies, no lifeline. Nobody knows where they are. Nothing.
But the Rob would always have the shit with him because he was always so into it all the time. Like he would constantly, so he'd be like, hey, shouldn't we be bringing like a lantern or some kind of rod, like something, like, no, Robert, but I'll tell you, once we got out, your dad would be like, yeah, you guys are capable of anything. Robert, stay back here. David, go out and see how deep that water goes. And I'd go to the mine, and I'd be hiking back into the mine. It'd be like this ice cold freaking water, and I could feel the tracks with my feet, but I'm up to my waist in water, like ice water, not knowing if there's another tunnel underneath me.
Right.
I would be like, okay, a little further. No, that's too deep, Robert. We're not going there.
Oh, just kill him. Using you as the freaking guinea pig. What a jerk. God.
I was always kind of like, oh God, it's gonna be another one where I'm the guy that's got to go for the hike. After lecture Rob endlessly all the way there and back about everything. So much fun. Oh man.
Every time I drive, if I go back and forth from New Mexico to California, like every time I pass Calico, I'm all, Rob, there's Calico. I'll send him a picture. I'm passing Calico.
Funny, I have a whole different view of it.
I spent a lot of time at Calico.
I would go to Calico, and we would ride dirt bikes inside that abandoned water park.
Oh yeah, I love that abandoned water park.
I know, isn't it cool?
They did a movie on it with a skateboard thing.
Yeah.
That abandoned whatever.
I think it was called Lake Dolores. I think it was called Lake.
Was that Lake Dolores?
No, Lake Dolores, I think, is out towards Vegas.
Out by Elsinore.
Yeah, there you go.
Because the lake they have there is just this little tiny man-made one.
Yeah, it's not that one.
No.
The other one has all the slides and everything.
Yeah.
No.
It's so cool.
No, I never actually got to go to it when it worked.
No, neither did I.
I wonder what it was like. It must have been a cool little oasis halfway through Vegas. Kind of stop and let them play.
Just raging waters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
have you guys? Oh, it's beautiful. Like they've cleaned all that stuff up. At least a lot of it's kind of cool now.
Yeah.
Cool.
I think they tore down. They finally tore down
the water
abandoned.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, because of all I think a lot of people.
Me and Travis actually went out there. People just basically broke it all. Like it's all just destroyed. You know how California goes.
Yeah.
Here, the forest just claims everything really quick.
Oh, that's crazy.
Have you ever been up?
You love it there, though.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, actually, yes, I did actually. You know, we have a mutual friend, Laura.
Yes.
And who lives up there? She lives at Lake Erie. Lake. I don't know. She lives in a lake up there. Anyway, we were up there. I went up there 2 years ago on the lake.
Oh wow!
Actually, and I went with Alicia Wingate.
Oh, okay.
It's her best friend. Her best friend Laura that lives up there. So we were up there 2 years ago. It was pretty.
Yeah, it was pretty.
Yeah, I used to live with Jim Wingate.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
Jim.
What a small world.
Yeah. That's Billy. I on the Jim Bob. Remember I was referring to Jim Bob? He told me that his grandfather was. So this would be true for Alicia as well, probably.
Yeah.
But he said his grandfather was a whiskey runner, and that when he was running whiskey, he got arrested, thrown in jail, and that while he was in jail, the Navajo women would come and serve the inmates food. They would bring them their dinner or whatever, and that's how he met his wife. His wife was a Navajo woman. So I used to always tell everybody that Jim Wingate was half whiskey runner and half Navajo or Apache. He's a true badass because he's half whiskey runner and half Apache.
Oh man!
Grandparents. Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. That's so funny.
That was interesting times too.
Yeah. But those are the
Trouble times.
yes. Ah, they're different. That's
Trina's always known me when I've been in trouble.
Well, I didn't know about all of that stuff until later. Like,
I never.
Yeah, I mean, there was that. I was out here. I think I was in New Mexico when you were at.
And in Rosemead, when you moved to Rosemead, you were staying.
Yeah. I was in Rosemead, and you guys were running around and
all kinds of madness.
Troublemaker.
Mm-hmm.
Right on. Well, let's wrap it up then. I'm gonna take my cat out. He's good. He has to go out all the time.
He's been staring at us
He's
from right
sitting
behind
us
you,
right now.
like behind where we're staring at us. Like,
he's all. How come it's not me?
yeah, the persnickety.
Why don't? Oh, Mr. Snugglepot.
Yeah. But it was so nice. It was nice getting to know you, like, through the stories, I've heard so much like about you and
God, we didn't even break ground, man.
I know there was so much.
We might have digressed into one or two things, but like
time goes by so fast. Like flies.
It's fast. Right on.
There's so
bigger. We'll have to do a part 2 when we get bigger. Like when.
Oh yeah. You guys are huge.
Yeah.
Huge. And then you have to tell us about your other. You have a lot more to tell us too.
Oh yeah. Always.
Stories in there.
Right on. All right. Well, love you, Trina.
Love you too. Love you guys both. Be good.
We'll talk to you soon.
I'll email you.
Bye bye.
Okay. Yeah. Bye.
Bye.
Yay! That was a lot of fun.
Yes.
Anyways, I hope you enjoyed the interview part with her. We had a good old time doing it. She was super cool for even agreeing to do that with us. I know it's kind of unnerving for people to do out of the blue, just to chit chat. But anyways, we're gonna finish up painting. I didn't get eyes in, but I did start to get some of the painting in, so you can see. I will post when I do get further on it, and then we'll shoot these over to her.
So I got.
That's sick. So they're moving along.
Yeah, and we'll probably come back on later. We'll probably just have a little lunch real quick, take a quick break, and we might come back and just continue painting. And if you're not watching live and you're watching later, still feel free to email us throughout while you're doing it. You don't have to watch it live to email us.
Let us know what we could work on too, or what we need to do better. And please subscribe. Always subscribe. At the very end, there's usually a button for that, but I guess that's the ticket or whatever. So it'll help. But thanks.
All right, and we'll have one next week. Hopefully next week we'll have another person in. But keep an eye out, because we do in between just paint-alongs of people, places, things where it's not so much of a formal interview. It's more just paint-alongs.
Yeah.
So keep an eye out. We're there on our YouTube or Twitch, Woodbury Hill Studio. Also, you can contact us at that on Instagram, email, etc., etc.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Oh, and if you paint, tags for rescue. I'll add
tags the number 4 and rescue,
so Trina can see your paint.
so she can see as well.
Or
and
you
then
can
tag
email
us, please,
yeah.
so we could see. That would be cool.
Yes, awesome. Alrighty, we'll see you next time.
See you next time.